Sure, season-long fantasy football is great, but you know what's equally awesome? Making money weekly. And that's our goal on the brand new Fantasy Football Today DFS podcast. Join me, Frank Stanfill, alongside DFS analysts Mike McClure and Sia Najad twice a week for the most well-rounded analysis in the industry. Download and follow Fantasy Football Today DFS wherever podcasts are found.
Freaking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman, and this is your mega preview pod for this week's Wyndham Championship. It's picks, it's storylines, it's one and done. And joining me to break it all down, the coach is here. What's up, Coach?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm fired up this week. I'm ready for the regular season to be over and get to the playoffs, and I'm here with my favorite crew.
Mark Immelman is here. Mark, good to see you.
Hey, boys. Yeah, I'm with Coach. This is my final CBS week of the year. I've got Northern Trust off, so I'm on the countdown. Sunday afternoon, I'm nearly on vacation, so that's good. And then I must just wish a little happy birthday to my eldest, Isabel, who turned 14 just a day or two ago. We're going to go and celebrate her tonight.
Awesome. Very happy birthday. Yeah, Mark, you know you are in store for a 13-hole playoff this week, right?
Get on the playoff, but more about that later.
Tuesday finish.
Kyle Porter rounds out our foursome for today. KP, what up?
Yeah, we've been run it back, Rick. Mark and Coach probably don't know this, but we already went an hour. You and I just heads up the Ryder Cup. So
right.
I'm fired up to do it again.
I changed my shirt so it makes it look like it's a different day, but
I did not. So.
Same day. Same day.
Too early for Ryder Cup talk, or is it never too early for Ryder Cup talk?
Oh, no. We were actually talking. No. We were talking about the 2024 Ryder Cup. So we're good.
We got
Rick,
plenty.
Do you not have a big thing in your office with? I have literally. If I can turn the camera. I literally have a thing with probably 20 different shirts in it.
Yeah, I got a rack of polos right over there, right off camera.
Coach, listen to this. I get on with Rick. We taped at 10 a.m. my time, 8 a.m. his time, and I said, "Man, this is like, I'm sorry it's so early. This is like, thank you for doing this. Good timing for me." And he's like, "Oh, I've already done 2 podcasts. This is, this is middle of the-" I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." Yeah.
Kyle, we do early edge at 10 a.m. Eastern every day.
So it's the not very early edge.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, but for me, I live out here too, so I'm up every day at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy. By the time 8 o'clock gets here, we're 3 shows in.
Yeah, I'm in bed at 9 p.m., but I'm up at 5 o'clock. So
yeah, me too. It's all good. We love it.
All good. Storylines for this week, gentlemen. Obviously, the big storyline is that this is the regular season finale. Last chance at romance, last opportunity to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. And there are some notable names on the outside looking in. And I also have this little handy little chart that tells me what position some of these guys need to come in to potentially make it into the playoffs. So I want to go through some of those, but Mark, this is, we kind of joke with you a lot, like, FedEx Cup points, that's the currency all year long, but really this week it is very important. This week, and the last couple of weeks, every shot does matter. We are going to see probably someone miss out on the playoffs by a shot or two. This is really where guys have to, whether they're in it or not, they have to know where they're at and they have to grind all week long.
Rick, I've done this event for radio a bunch, and then after radio, CBS came along for me. So I've been doing this, I don't know how many years in a row it is, but it's been a long, long time. And I got to tell you, one of the most poignant and weird, sort of an emotional place in the entire world of golf is the scoring area on just beside the 18th there at the Wyndham Championship. Because you got the happy folks and you got the sad folks. In the PGA Tour, they've got a guy there, Tom Alter, who shows up and he does all the calculations, and he essentially tells you if you're good or you're not good. And I wouldn't envy that. That's like it's brought into firefolks, right, at companies. And I have so much respect for him because he's the nicest man in the world. But can you imagine saying to someone, "No, buddy, that's 1 too short. You've got to go to Corn Ferry Finals," or something like that. So for me, it's a great event, but it is a weird sort of a vibe in scoring right behind 18 there. Thursday, it's okay. Friday, it gets real because there might be some cut misses who seasons are done. And then on Sunday, it's obviously a big deal.
Coach, I think you could do that job. You could be the guy who stands at scoring and says, sorry, brother, it's over for you. Or, hey, congrats, you're in. I feel like you could do that.
There's no question I can do it. There's no question that I would want to do it. I've always kind of fallen in that weird category because I walk around at 6'4", 250 pounds most of the time. So I'm not your normal golf person. So yeah, I feel like I could definitely do that. But I will tell you this: I do have a soft spot in my heart for people because I think sometimes, especially those of us here on the show, we're very, very blessed. We're very lucky. I've literally had my dream job, different companies, but dream job my entire life. And I don't know what it's like to have the pressure of losing that job. And then where do you go from there? So I can't even comprehend the pressure that some of these guys are feeling this weekend. But this is what it's all about. The playoffs start early for a lot of players this week.
Can you imagine Coach walking up to just the diminutive CT Pan and saying, sorry, brother, you're out. And then
Pack
CT
your
Pan,
shit and get out of here.
and then CT Pan being like, actually, brother, I'm exempt through next year, so you're wrong.
or CT breaks out the black belt and does like a bunch of jiu-jitsu on him and knocks him out.
Oh, so good. Well, PGA Tour comms, they actually created this little this
is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. If I was producer Jacob, I would figure out a way to share this. I don't know how to do that, and you're going to see that later. So here's what we've got here, KP. They've listed out basically all the players from 119 to 222, and they've listed the minimum finish required for the guys on the outside looking in. So, for example, Scott Piercy is number 126. That means he needs to finish 34th or better. Now, it's obviously going to depend what other people do around him, but at least he needs a 34th place finish. And then the other thing about this, KP, is they've designated the guys who do not have any more exemptions left, who's tour card would stop this year. Some of these guys obviously are exempt for multiple years, but it's really kind of interesting to see it on paper like this. Piercy needs a 34th, Lashley needs a 23rd, Thompson needs a 21st. It's very clear what they need to do.
Yeah, this is super interesting, and I think it sort of crystallizes the fact that even though there's a lot of big names kind of around 125, there's not a lot of drama around those names because Adam Scott's 121, he's exempt. Matt Kuchar's 124, he's exempt. Fowler's 130, he's exempt. Justin Rose 138, he's exempt. So Francesco Molinari 140, he's exempt. Who's the biggest name that is, I guess, Fleetwood, but he's kind of an outlier anyway because he's going to play the WGCs because he's in the top, 50 or 60. He's still going to have European Tour status. So this is incredibly helpful, and I'll be referencing it all weekend. But I think it sort of highlights the fact that there's nobody that you're like, oh my gosh, that guy could lose this card. I don't think, unless I'm missing somebody here.
I went all the way down as you were talking, KP. I went all the way down the list, and I got all the way to 161 before there was and that's Jason Duffner at 161 as a major champion. Everybody above him, because Steve Stricker doesn't play full time. Danny Willett, same thing. But anybody else, Rory Sabatini. But to your point, KB, there's really no shock value around that 125 number.
Is there anybody that surprised you, Rick?
Not that they are up to lose their actual card. I think some of these, isn't this the second year in a row where Justin Rose and Ricky Fowler have been on the outside looking in, but they're exempt for a while. They're not going to lose their card. So it's kind of a different story. So when I look at this mark, I see, the biggest name to me looks like Rory Sabatini. Now there's a couple, I actually think the pressure also comes from the inside of this number, right? Bryce Garnett, 119.
Patrick Rogers.
Yeah, you're inside, but you still got some work to do. You can't just be banking on these guys not passing you, Mark.
Well, I remember maybe 2 seasons ago with the tour paired 124, 120. I should say grouped because there's 3 of them. 124, 125, and 126 together on Thursday and Friday.
I love that.
Yeah, and that should be feature group coverage on PGA Tour Live. Can you imagine? So yes, there's nothing that's guaranteed because you never know. Someone could have the banner a week and play their way in. I saw a number last year where the incidence of folks playing their way into the 125 is pretty low. But you said, what's that, Coach?
3 people did it last year.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, and in years past, it's never really that much more. So, but if you're sitting in the 120s, the early 120s, you better have your wits about you. But I just wanted to add, I mean, losing the tour card is a big deal. Let's not discount that because for the folks that are dealing with that sort of thing, that is honestly life-changing. But for a Fowler or for a Rose and for these blue chip sort of guys, there's lots of incentives built into their contracts for whoever it might be with Puma or Bonobos or whatever you call a clothing line. There is money on the line here for these guys if they don't make the 125 because all the incentives then start to fall away. And once you get into a situation like that for these guys, it's a big deal. So even for those guys, they're not playing for their livelihood, but they're playing for a whole heap of money and incentives. So there's still a lot on the line for a lot of these guys.
Well, I was going to say that about even especially like a Nate Lashley and Michael Thompson to get into the playoffs is financially, it's not life-changing, but it's not nothing, those are not guys that is Fowler's life going to be changed by anything other than winning the Tour Championship? Probably not. Maybe not even that. But for Lashley and Thompson and, I don't know, Nick Taylor, guys that are keeping their cards no matter what, it is really, really meaningful to get inside the top 125. I think the most interesting guy inside of it, Rick, is Patrick Rogers. The talent level that he has and the way he hits the ball, he shouldn't be on the bubble, right? And kind of where he's at in his career, but he is, and that's just that's how he's played over the last year or whatever. So I think he's somebody that is really intriguing going into Thursday.
And just along those lines too, Kyle, 2 things. The first one is that making it into the playoffs, if you're in the 125, there's a bonus. It's not just the 30 who get to East Lake.
Yes.
So 125.
That's what I meant. It's a minimum of what, 50 grand or something? 100 grand?
At least that much.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then also, I was in a conversation the other day, fellow announcers working there at Golf Channel, both former PGA Tour players, and they were talking about, because the number of cuts make you on tour essentially has an effect on what your retirement is. And the PGA Tour retirement is unbelievable. I mean, guys are making millions upon millions of dollars. So if, let's say you're one of those guys that doesn't have however many it is right now to be guaranteed all of the perks, you get in the playoffs, you just got to make 1 cut, and then there's no cuts for the next 2 events if you happen to advance. So there's a lot of little things that could have a huge impact on down the road because every cut made for these guys is a big deal retirement-wise.
Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about here, Coach, is how this changes their play over the course of the week. If you are, let's see, Roger Sloan, who does not have his card locked up for next year, and he is 131st, and he knows he needs to finish at least 19th. And in the first 2 or 3 rounds, if he's 15th, imagine, or even if he's 35th, right? This will actually now begin to change the thought process when a lot of times in golf, you just want to hit, you don't want to have the same thought process. You want to hit the same thing every single time. This might be a situation where, hey, my job is on the line. I better take dead aim at that flagstick.
To me, Sundays turn into Thursdays. Or Thursdays turn into Sundays.
Turn into Sundays.
Yeah, Thursdays turn into Sundays. Because there are going to be certain players, they have different game plans. Will Zalatoris, his entire game plan is I have to win. So he's going to be shooting at every flag. So either he's going to shoot 20 under or he's going to go home and miss the cut. But everybody's got a different scenario. And for people at home that are sitting there right now going, is it really this big of a deal? Let me give everybody an example. Last year, 4 holes to play. Jim Herman, well outside the cut line. He birdies the last 4 holes, makes the cut on the number, goes bananas over the weekends, wins the event, goes from 192 to 54th, and then makes it into the playoffs And this year, he just played in the WGC last week. That's how different this is and how significant 1, 2, or even 3 shots is this weekend for a guy like Jim Herman. And that's what it is. That's how much pressure is on these guys. And either you do what he did or you don't. And do you have it in you? And that's the guts that it takes to either make the top 125 when you have to or you don't.
It's a big deal too. And just, I was thinking about this too. A lot of these guys don't watch leaderboards, or they do when they're playing. But after the round, they switch off, they get away from the golf, they get back there. But I can tell you this for free. On Friday evening, they're dudes sitting at dinner wherever they are, and they're looking to see if there's anyone behind on them on the list who've missed the cut, because that's a big deal. So they're scouring up and down this leaderboard to say, well, that's one less guy I've got to beat now, because it's, I know it might sound trite when you listen to the broadcast on Friday and then certainly over the weekend, but it is a thing. And we all think of a PGA Tour guy having millions upon millions of dollars. Look, if you're in the 125, even the 150, you're comfortable. But going without a year's guaranteeing, that's a thing. And with all of these studs coming up out of college and sponsors giving out more invites and fields getting smaller, because all the blue chip guys are looking for smaller fields and more money, right? And everyone else is looking for bigger fields and more folks getting in there. And the big guys have the biggest say-so. So if they get their way, stuff becomes smaller. So guaranteeing your PGA Tour card and guaranteeing the 125, that is a huge, huge deal. Really, it is.
Did you guys see yesterday on social media, to kind of clarify Mark's point, is David Lingmerth, who won the Memorial. He's won multiple times. What was the video? It was of the wife and the kids after he had Monday qualified for this week. That's the difference that Mark's talking about. It's a big deal. They've got families to take care of. And just because you won on the PGA Tour 4 or 5 years ago does not mean that today that you're going to have your PGA Tour card, because there are so many good players that are coming up ready to push you aside. You got to keep your game going. It's hard.
Every time I think about that or see stuff like that, Coach, it makes me remember or realize how good the top 15 guys are, the top 10 guys are, the top 20 guys are. It's insane. Like I think that people, it gets a little normalized of like, oh, they're all like really good. And it's like, man, those guys are so good to stay in the top 10 or 20. It's just, it's crazy. I found the number here. If you make it into the playoffs, you get a minimum payout of $101,000 is what's on the PGA Tour website. So you can just tack that on to whatever, if you get in, whatever you make this week at Wyndham, you just kind of throw it on, a minimum of that, throw it on there.
And just one more thing about, I love Coach's anecdote there about Lingmerth. I got to tell you, when I'm unable to get out on a Sunday night, typically there's a bunch of us on the 6 a.m. flight to Atlanta in the morning and then connecting wherever you got to go. And the glamorous life, everyone thinks it's private jets and stuff because of what you see on social media. There's a bunch of dudes on a 6 a.m. flight in sweats and a baseball hat. You're like, oh, hey, how you? Where you going? It's not as glamorous as you think.
That's good. One last thing before we move on from this. This might be Will Zalatoris' final event of the year here, KP. Shaking your head. This is last time I checked, which I think was a couple of days ago. Maybe it was. I think this is updated. He would be currently 26th in the FedEx Cup standings, but because he is not a technically full member, unless he wins this week, he will not be in the playoffs. So you're talking about giving up a lot of money. Will Zalatoris, who in theory could make it to East Lake, is leaving lots of money on the table.
Yeah, it's so goofy. Like that needs to be a minute. Like they shouldn't. I'm not saying they should change the rule for him in this year. I'm saying in the future. And I realize this was a weird season and a weird situation, but that can't happen. You can't have a guy that's 25 years old, I think he's 29th in the world, might be on the Ryder Cup team. Well, probably won't be actually because of this. Maybe he can't not be in the playoffs. That's just, but what Coach said is right. And I read his transcript I think he was at Pebble, Coach, back in February. And he said, I got to win every single week. He's like, I have to win to try to get into the playoffs, because for him, I mean, he hadn't made that much money, to get to East Lake for him would actually be a really big deal at this point at his age, or at this point of his life, at this stage of his career. So yeah, it's a bummer. I hope he wins. I think that would be a really fun ending to what's been just an incredible regular season.
You're on mute, Mark.
I think you're on mute, Mark.
Hate to see it. Hate to see that.
Yeah, that was a bogey. Hey, I'm one over par off. A few seasons ago, when Spieth was in this position, he won late to get into the playoffs, and they know the rule. And I'm glad you said that, Kyle, because look, all of the bloggers and all of the podcasts and stuff are going on about this, and all of the writers and stuff are going on about, Zalatoris this and Zalatoris right. Yes, it's not right, but you can't go changing the rule for one person. This very event, back in whenever it was, when Arjun Atwell won, he didn't get into playoffs for that either, and he was inside of the 125, but he was a special temporary member or whatever the case might be. So imagine if the tour changed it now because of Will, the darling of the social media, gets in. What do you think Arjun's going to have to say about this?
Well, it's like the who's the
up-off thing. And
that's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's an odd situation and it sucks, but Will's a good kid, man. And like he said, he knows he's got to win. I wouldn't be at all surprised because he went to school just down the road, remember? Mm-hmm. At Wake Forest. Must be comfortable around there. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a bit of a run.
Here we go, Coach. We'll put a bow on it with this. Will Zalatoris career PGA Tour earnings, $3.4 million. So even the $100,000 bonus is 1/30th of what you've made in your career on tour. I know that's just like basically this year, but I mean, this is big time cashola.
I don't know why we did, and this happens all the time. Whenever I'm speaking to like classes, they always ask me about the money, right? And I don't know why we discount these bonuses like they're not real money. Because I got an argument on social media about pay that fighters get in UFC and how many expenses they have. And golf is the exact same way. Just because they're making $400,000, you're paying your caddy, your expenses, and without the private jet, it's $2,000 to $3,000 a week before you pay your caddy. I mean, that's just minimum. If you're adding in the private jet, now you're adding another $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 onto that. There's a lot of money that goes into being a pro golfer. So yeah, he's won $3 million, but there's a lot of expenses that go with that. I think this rule is silly, and I understand what both of you guys are saying, that you can't change it for one person. But when you change the rule, it is for one person. So at some point, they're going to change the rule, and it's going to be after something like this happens. So I don't understand why you can't change it for one person, because all these rules that have been changed along the way happened because somebody did it. And at some point, they've got to change this. This is absolutely ridiculous.
The Players Advisory Committee will lobby this rule change, and it will happen. It'll happen at some stage. But I don't want it to be knee-jerk. I don't think that. I don't think
it is now. I mean, because we've been playing this out since last year. So we're talking about a whole year that we've been talking about Will Zalatoris, and it just needs to change, because just like with payment in college and athletes, everybody has this big thing about, it's gonna open up Pandora's box. It rarely ever happens. This is not something that's going to change the game. It's going to allow the really elite players, when they come out, if they go on a run like he did, to get into what he qualified for. And that's what he deserves. And he deserves to be in the playoffs. He won't be, but he deserves to be. And now going into this, boy, it's going to be really exciting if on Sunday he's even close. Because at this point, he's going after every pin. And that's going to be exciting to see.
I can't wait to see it. Here's what we're going to do. We've got to do our betting cards. We've got to do our one and done, and we are coming down the home stretch of the one and done. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest way to play season-long best ball. Play more fantasy football without spending all that time on waivers and lineups and trades. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Draft a season-long best ball team, and that's it. No in-season management. And you can take a shot at a $1 million grand prize in their Best Ball Mania tournament. And how about this? You can get a free $25 in bonus cash on Underdog Fantasy if you use the code CBS when you make your first deposit. I love Underdog. It is so easy to use. The mobile app is slick. The website is user-friendly. So do what I've been doing. Go to Underdog Fantasy, join a league, draft a team, and that's it. You're good for the season. Remember, go to UnderdogFantasy.com
or the App Store or the Google Play Store. Sign up with the code CBS and get a free $25 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code CBS.
Here we go. 5 minutes of stoppage time, and Shea Groom could say good night.
The beautiful game is our game. Welcome to Attacking Third, a soccer podcast from CBS Sports covering the NWSL, U.S. Women's National Team, and more. I'm Lisa Roman. Alongside my co-host Sandra Herrera, we'll bring you episodes 3 times a week featuring previews, recaps, and exclusive interviews. Download and follow Attacking Third wherever podcasts are found.
And we're back. All right, here's what we've done. We've taken our $100 over to Caesars Sportsbook, and we have allocated it any way that we would like. And Mark, I'm going to pull up if I can do this, I'm going to pull your betting card up first. And all right, it's working a little bit. All right, Mark, so here is your betting card for this week. The first thing that jumps out is love for Schwartzel. Schwartzel over Kevin Na and Kevin Streelman, the Kevins, at plus 200. And then also Schwartzel to finish inside the top 20 at plus 225.
Yeah, but first I want to highlight the fact that I'm betting $10 on a playoff just because it's my last week, and I guarantee you we're going extra holes. I cast it over there, so I'd like to win that one. Yes, but I'm really high on Charles Schwartzel this week. Now I didn't do a bunch of research behind this, and I'm sure you guys can tell me. I'm not sure he's played much around Sedgefield before, but the way he's playing, the way he hit the golf ball at the 3M was just off the charts. And then he's found a little range with the putting, and there's a bunch of confidence going on, and he contended there, and he left with a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth because he was like one shot out of a playoff or whatever. And week off, comes in here fresh, and it seems to me like all of Louis Oosthuizen's success has sort of put a bug in Charles Schwartzel, excuse me, math. Can you believe I'm talking about that? Charles Schwartzel's saddlebag. And so now he's like, well, I've got to get busy a little bit here. And so, yeah, I'm real high on Charles this week. And just going down the list a little bit more there, Rick.
Sure.
Fowler is outside the 125 right now. I think he's sitting at 130. He's playing well. And I would like to see Ricky. So this is a bet with my heart here, Javier. I'd like to see Ricky make the cut. And I'd like to see him contend a little bit on the weekend and try and play his way inside the 125. Because remember Kiowa, when he was given the invitation and a bunch of folks were critical thereof, I for one was one. And he finished third, I think it was. He was a factor at Kiowa Island in the PGA. I'd love to see him make the playoffs and have a little bit of a run and all of a sudden show folks like, look, I'm still a golfer. I can still play and I can still contend in big events.
Ricky Fowler to make the cut plus 200 and minus 200, excuse me. Odds is that right?
No. That might be is that not a typo? Yeah, they were all minus there. So I'm not sure what I'd win there.
Okay, so you round out this card here, Mark, with Russell Henley, your best bet over Brian Harman, and then you went for one of these double chances. You either get Webb or Louis to win at plus 650. Yeah.
Well, Webb around Wyndham. Mm-hmm. He named one of his children after the Wyndham Championship.
I've heard that before, I think. Yes.
Yeah, Winnie. He got a win here, and he named one of his girls Wyndham.
Yes.
She goes by Winnie, and I've called him a bunch around there. And he just seems to read the greens well. It's a real second shot golf course, and that's sort of the strength of the game to me. He's from North Carolina. It's just down the road from where he lives in Charlotte. Played at Wake Forest. I mean, there's so many things. And then he has just a contingent of folks that show up and support him over there. And so Webb around Wyndham is always a good idea. And Louis around anywhere is a good idea right now, to be honest with you. And I was a bit of a numbskull for not betting on him last week. I went for Wilco and long odds, which didn't prove very fruitful at all. So, yeah, I think those two, they certainly should be, in my opinion, in the mix on the weekend.
All right. That is Mark's betting card. I'll pull my card up here real quick because mine is short and KP. It is a continued attempt to track you down. What I have done is I have loaded up on Hideki Matsuyama over Webb Simpson. Big bet on plus money on Hideki over Webb. I love Webb. He's great here, but odds makers know it too, and they're making you pay for it. And Hideki has been very, very good. And then I took 3 outright cracks to try to cut into your lead. One at 35-1, Russell Henley. One at 45-1, Mr. Schwartzel, as we've mentioned. And one at 66-1, JT Poston. This is my last-ditch effort to close the gap.
It's going to take a lot. You're down.
I thought you were just going to say, oh, good luck. Like
you're down 1,100, I think.
Is that what?
So you actually?
Oh my god! I need all of this.
You need 2 wins here. And I love the Hideki over Webb you're gonna see that one again. I love the Henley. He's been hitting it really well. I think there was something. I think he hasn't been driving it that well though. But his iron play and everything else has been great. So of the 3 to win, I think I like Henley the most there.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach. You are up, and you have got a couple of. Let's see here. Couple of matchups. Let's start with Gary Woodland showing some form over Adam Scott. And you also are backing Ricky Fowler, this time over Robert McIntyre. And your third and final matchup, JT Poston makes an appearance on your card as well over Mackenzie Hughes.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't like a ton of the picks that Caesar Sportsbook had available for us to pick. Woodland playing much better as of late. Fowler, I just think it's going to be a good week. I'm with Mark. I think that not only will he make the cut, I think he's going to finish top 20. And then JT Poston, I think he could win this week. He almost won in Jackson a few weeks ago in an opposite field event that nobody paid attention to. And he's won here before. And I believe he played here with no bogeys in 4 rounds.
Yep.
He knows these greens. He knows how to play here. And at plus 6,600, I love that play on your betting card. I almost went with it, but he will be my one and done this week. So it shows you how much I think JT Poston will play well this week.
There you go. Kevin Kisner to win Group C at Caesars. That is plus 350. And then Doug Gim out of Group D rounds out your card, Coach.
Yeah, Kevin Kisner played well here last year. I think a tie for third. And of the guys he has to beat, Robert McIntyre, Fleetwood, Schwartzel, not really scared of any of them. And then Doug Gim, Joel Damon, Ches Reavie, Zach Johnson. I'm okay with that group too. So, yeah, there wasn't a ton on the board this week that I really loved. These I did. So I'll cash 5 tickets. I'm cool with that.
All right, Coach, already tried to cash 5 tickets. KP, that leaves just your betting card remaining. Oh, I do see Hideki Matsuyama over Webb Simpson getting plus money. And then you've gone with this strategy that I think has worked out pretty well for you. Just top 10s and top 20s after that. Top 20, Jonathan Vegas plus 240. And then Louis and Hideki again, this time to finish inside the top 10. Both of them are plus 120.
Yeah, I'm kind of riding Hideki this week. He's been unbelievable the last 2 or 3 weeks. And he was just I'm so enamored with tee to green and specifically iron play. And he finally putted it pretty well on Sunday at St. Jude. So I'm just riding that. Mark mentioned Louis. He's been just almost an auto top 10 for like 2 straight months. So I think Vegas is somebody else that's been up there in terms of like tee to green. He's been really, really good. He finished, second at 3M or third at 3M, played pretty well for the first part of the Olympics. So I think he's pretty interesting. And then Hideki over Webb I hate going against Webb this week because of all the reasons that Mark mentioned, but plus money on Hideki right now is just, I'm with you, Rick. It was just too difficult to pass up. So I forgot to put my dollar amounts in here. I just had it split equally 4 ways.
$25 on each one of these. Thank you, KP, which leaves us, gentlemen, with one final thing to do. It's the one and done. And Coach, we only have to do this a couple more times, Coach, before we clear the slate for everybody. You are at 5 million. You actually, Daniel Berger, 380,000 last week. That'll work.
Yeah, that's good. That'll work.
All right. So what are you already mentioned JT Poston for this week.
Well, I officially put in for my license to be commissioner of this league when we start the new season. So I'm waiting for that to come through in the mail. But I assume it'll be here any day.
Who issues
while I'm
that
waiting,
license? Jacob? Does Jacob issue that license?
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Caesars.
I'm going to go with JT Poston. I've already told you who I'm taking. So I'm going to go JT Poston. And if I
Don't
cash
you have anyone else? Don't you have anybody else?
do I not have it? No, I mean, why wouldn't I go with JT Poston? I mean, at this point, I'm only trying to catch Jacob. And so that's what I'm going to go with because this is a wash for me. This This year's already gone for me. It's all right. It's all right.
You get some momentum. There's only I think there's 1 week off from the Tour Championship to the Fortinet Championship. The Safeway changed its name. Fortnite Championship. So we'll be back in a new season real quick. Jacob has 5.6 million. I don't know what his pick is. KP, you are next, and you had Louis last week. You are 700,000 behind Mark. You are 1.6 out of the lead, but this is big bucks season, and Jacob has the payouts for the Tour Championship in here. So the winner is going to get 3.6 million at the Tour Championship, and 30th is going to be 160,000. It's a lot of money.
Wow.
Yeah, I might just call my shot right here and just give you my next 4 picks.
Have at it.
Wow.
So I think I'm going Johnny Vegas this week, DJ next, JT the week after, and then Rory to shut it down.
There
you
you
have
go.
all 3 of those left?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Do I need to confirm this?
Oh, my God.
Probably.
Actually, it does look like he has them.
There's no way we're going to trust him on that. But
No, definitely not.
Well, he has them all left because he used John Rahm twice. He used somebody else, Paul Casey
Scheffler.
3 times,
Scheffler twice.
Times. Yeah, so he has all these guys available to him.
I have a lot of zeros, and then I used Stuart Sink as my throwaway pick on the wrong tournament.
God, Stuart Sink was in the lead 4 holes in. He was like 4 under through 4, and I was so excited for him too. Yeah, and you got your throwaway pick won twice this year, and you didn't catch one of those.
I know. Tough.
All right, Mark, $9 million. You are a mere $900,000 behind Greg at the top. You got Daniel Berger last week. You've been telling us for months you're playing Webb here, and I can't imagine you've changed your mind.
I'm playing Webb, and I've got Rory and JT in the holster for the playoffs. Just got to figure out what's happening next week, and I'll watch for a little form. Yeah, but Simpson this week, certainly.
Man, wait till you guys see who I have to play in the Tour Championship. It's going to be real ugly stuff.
Bassi Munoz?
I'm just like hoping I have a guy who qualifies.
I was going to say, what if you don't have a guy that qualifies? I mean, that's possible, I guess.
It's possible, and I guess you get $0.
Oh, my gosh, that'd be horrible luck. Yeah,
I started saving a couple guys. I got somebody. I got somebody for you.
Okay.
I'm up. I am 200,000 behind Greg, 9.7 million. I am looking for a South African victory this week in one Charles Schwartzel. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's just win. I'll take the 1.3. It'll be great, Mark.
I'm going to go break his putter on tomorrow afternoon. When I get on site. I'm going to do it.
His putter's already broken. It's just... Have you seen it, Coach? He
hasn't been using that one for a while.
It looks like a manufacturing error.
No, he hasn't been using that, Carl. That thing's been shelved for a while.
That thing is
manufacturing error, like when the dollar bill comes from the mint and it's like a $10 on one side and a $20 on the other side.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It is an abomination. I don't know how he even looks at it, much less putts with it.
Greg is in the lead, and he has been chalking it up, and he has been. I can't see that he has used Webb. I don't know this, but I imagine he is going to use Webb this week. Oh no, he used Webb. He used Webb at the Waste Management, so I don't know who he's going to use. Right. Hopefully, somebody that misses the cut, and we can.
Hey man,
we can catch up to him.
Diabolical.
Beauty, gents. All right. That was your mega preview pod for the Wyndham Championship, the final regular season event on the PGA Tour. That's the coach right there. You can find him on Twitter at @TheCoachRules. That's Mark Immelman, who you can find at Mark_Immelman. Kyle Porter, KP, at Kyle Porter CBS. You can find me at Rick Run Good. I'm looking for the outro. This has been the first cut, and we'll catch you next time.
Stream over 2,000 soccer matches live on Paramount Plus. That's all the heart-pounding drama from CBS Sports.
How about that?
Including UEFA Champions League, Europa League, Serie A, NWSL, CONCACAF qualifiers, featuring the stars from the U.S. men's and women's national teams, and much more. Be part of the excitement as champions are crowned.
Chelsea have won the Champions
And history is made.
That is unbelievable.
The world's game lives here on Paramount Plus. Visit ParamountPlus.com to start your free trial and stream every match live.